Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs. Welcome to my channel. And today I'm just showing a little preview of my project for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 4. And this is the layout that I have chosen. And I thought it might be helpful to see this preview before watching the portion of video that follows. This is how it will be laid out. I've just begun stitching the hexagons down. The row on the right is all stitched down, but I will be stitching the rest of the, what is there, 9. And so I thought it might be nice to see how it will be laid out. So I'll try to give you a close-up of each of the hexagons. Sorry for the shadows. This was really so much fun. And the last one over here. I hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you in a minute. Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs. I hope everyone is doing well and welcome to my channel. I thought I would just pop on quickly to share the very last prompt for our Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 4. And the last prompt was something sentimental. And so I decided on using an image of ice skates. And I had this little fabric image of ice skates, which I thought was so pretty. And anytime I see ice skates, I do get sentimental in thinking about ice skating and how much I loved it always. Would skate every chance that I got. And so I thought this image would be perfect for the very last hexagon. And so I just stitched this little fabric image of ice skates down with an invisible stitch. And let's see, I'm sorry, I'm probably moving quickly, but around the little edges here, the edges of this image are pinked edges, and I just did some straight stitches kind of following the pinked edge. And I love that. It kind of gave it a lacy look. It almost looks like a little bit of lace or crocheting around the edge of that. Very subtle, but you can see it. And I also decided to add some lace to the background of this hexagon and around the image of the ice skates, if you can see that lace here. And this is that lace that I chose to use. This is a very pretty lace with little floral designs on it. Delicate, nothing too heavy. So I thought that would be perfect to just kind of frame this little image here, rather than just have the image of the ice skates on there. So after I stitched around this edge, I decided to add some French knots up here, and did some branches with a straight stitch or an outline stitch. And I thought that would just be kind of a little interesting look and a kind of a change of color here. I did do some embroidery on this little image. I embroidered the leaves, some extra leaves on here. I did some French knots on here as well, just to kind of give it a little extra relief and interest, and some little white branches on here with DMC. I think that's all DMC floss. And then I had these little images that were stamped on muslin, and I thought that they might be interesting to add on here. So I added this little Christmas tree, and did some seed stitching around that. Again, to kind of just make something interesting around it, make the little tree pop. And then I had this image also, Merry Christmas. And I just made some corners and then looped the thread through just to sort of frame that a little bit and add a little bit of green to this area down here. And I also had this little stamped image on fabric with writing on it, Let Life Surprise You. And I just did a running stitch around that and just kind of collaged these little pieces on for some interest. And then over here I did the, I think this is a fly stitch. I did that with green floss and then added some French knots and then some little extra kind of branches here with a straight stitch. And again, just kind of trying to tie in the colors in here and frame this a little tiny bit. And then on this side, I did some more embroidery. And this is the outline stitch with Lazy Daisy, DMC floss. And then inside the Lazy Daisy, I put some pearl cotton in sort of a peachy pink color. And I thought that added some interest to the leaves. And so I think that's it. This image is totally finished. And then the skates, this was kind of not quite fully stitched down to the hexagon, so I just outlined the skates with a little tiny running stitch with just regular sewing machine cotton thread in 50 weight. And that just kind of tacked this area down. So that is it for my very last prompt, Something Sentimental. And I thought I would show you that I have decided on the layout for all of these little prompts. And they'll be going on that old quilt that I have. And I'll just bring it over here. I doubt that I can set the whole thing out, but I'm just going to move some things out of the way here. Should have done that before, but working in between the holidays, I think my brain is very tired. So let's see if I'm all the way over here. Yeah. Okay. So this is the layout that I have decided on for all of the hexagons, and I'll try to show you all. I suppose I could raise this up a bit. Let's see if that'll work. Maybe that's a little tiny bit better. Sorry, I hope that didn't make anyone dizzy. So this is the layout that I've decided on so far, and you can see the diamonds that are formed in between the hexagons. I'll try to show you all of them as they're placed. And there are diamonds, and then there are half diamonds here, and then there are half diamonds horizontally and half diamonds vertically. And so that's kind of the pattern that I followed here. So that is 6 of them. And if we move over, and this is where the last one will go. It will go right in here. And what I did was I laid out these hexagons, and then I decided, you know, I had to look and see where the diamonds would fall. And these are drawn in with a friction pen. And then I cut my fabric. This is a vintage Robin Pandolph fabric that I've had for a long time. I thought these colors would kind of complement what's going on in the hexagons, but sort of stay in the background. And I just cut these bigger. I cut these diamonds larger so that they would tuck behind the hexagons. So this one will be pinned on right here. And I'm not quite sure how I will stitch all of these. I mean, I love my sewing machine. I would love to sew this on by machine, but I feel like that would be cheating because this is a hand stitching and a slow stitching project. So I was thinking I may just do a basting stitch on the sewing machine, and then I can take that out afterwards just to make sure that these are tacked down and stay in place, these diamonds. And then what I'll do is sew each hexagon to the back of this quilt. Rather than sew them to each other first, I think I'll sew them to the background. I don't know, I've never done a layout quite like this. So this is the next group. I'll try to fold this over. This is the next group of hexagons. And there's our initial. I guess I could fold that out a bit. And it goes all the way up here to the buttons and the trim prompt. And again, our little triangles here. And then all the way over to the edge, we have these hexagons. This one was wording. And the very last one up here, nature. And what I decided to do on this edge, where the scallop is for the quilt, I decided to just bring the diamonds to the edge of the hexagons. I didn't want to cover this scalloped edge. I'll turn this a little bit so that you can see that a little bit better. The scalloped edge that this little person, whoever made this quilt, put this beautiful scalloped edge on here, and I mean, that's quite a bit of work. I didn't want to cover that up. So I'm leaving those. And then on this edge, I will be putting some lace along here. As I have it down here, I'll be adding some lace. And as you can see, this is, oops, sorry, I moved the camera. Let me just slide this. Okay. This is a little bit crooked. It kind of goes uphill here. But that's how this little piece of quilt was cut. The piece of quilt was a long piece of fabric, just a long rectangle of fabric. And what I did was I just cut it in half, and then I stitched it together, one piece on top of the other. So you can see where this lace is right here. This is where the two pieces were joined together. It would have been one long piece of quilt. And I just didn't think that that was as practical as having, I just made a cut vertically in the quilt, and then I joined those two halves together horizontally this way to give me something that is a little bit more of a shape that I could work with. So I'll be adding lace to the edges of this, and one of the laces I will be adding something like this, although this is not a long enough piece, but I love this. This is from my friend Jill, and I may use that piece and then add another piece of something, or put this in the middle of this portion of the quilt and then add something on either end. But I will definitely add lace to the other two edges. This edge, as I said, does have lace, so I'll be adding a piece, a length of lace here, and a length of lace also at the top of this little throw. And this will go in my sewing room. I don't really have any wall space left in my sewing room. I have a large design wall. I have three large closets in here, and I have an inspiration board on one wall and a large, very large mirror on the other wall. And I just don't have wall space. So this will be a throw. I think this will be over by my desk area where I draw on the back of that chair. So that is my intention to end a thought for finishing this little piece that we've been working on for these last 6 months. And I also thought that in these diamonds that are formed here as the hexagons come together, I may put some lace pieces in there. And if you have any feelings on that, you could share them with me. I'm thinking of adding maybe some lace pieces in here. I'm not sure how I had them set up. I'll have to look. I took a picture to remind me how to lay this out, but something like this, and maybe some leaves. I thought that that might be pretty to have some pieces of little motifs of lace in the centers of these diamonds. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's distracting. I don't know. I did have a little setup, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'd appreciate any thoughts or suggestions you might have on that. Is this too much? Does it add something, or does it is it unnecessary? I'm not sure. This is from some very pretty lace fabric that some little jackets were made out of for my daughters for a wedding for both of our girls. And I have some remnants of that lace, which I love. So that is where I am. I am so thrilled beyond measure to have the last hexagon done and in place. And these edges along here are folded under. These are folded under about 1/4 inch. And so that'll be all a finished edge that will be appliqued down by hand. And then of course these are raw edges under here, but they'll be just fine because they overlap, and the hexagon will overlap the raw edges, and so that should all be contained. So I think I'm on the road to being finished with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 4 for this year, for 2023. And I'm looking forward to Volume 5, although right now it seems kind of mysterious. I don't know. I can't imagine what is being planned, but I think it'll be interesting. And oh, and I just wanted to say, on these little diamonds here, I didn't have to even form the shape of a diamond. I just turned wherever this triangle landed, I just turned the edges of it under, and that's hidden behind where these hexagons come together. Because truthfully, the hexagons are not all the same size due to stitching. Some are more heavily stitched and some less, and of course that draws the fabric in on some and some not so much. And I had pre-cut all of these hexagons, so to cut these diamonds out and make them be the exact size that fits in here, it just didn't really work for me. So I decided that I would go ahead and run the diamonds underneath the hexagons and let the hexagons overlap. So hopefully that'll all work out, and I will hopefully in my next video have this all stitched down to share. But I love this piece. It has some really wonderful little memories attached to it. I can think of different things that I was doing as I was stitching, or movies that I was watching. I've been watching some Charles Dickens movies, Jane Eyre, especially A Christmas Carol, A Tale of Two Cities. I've been watching some of those while stitching these, and also Sense and Sensibility, just kind of enjoying some of the classics along with some Christmas movies while stitching. So it's nice to have those memories as we look back on our pieces. I'm sure we all have memories of things that we were doing as we were stitching. But so I will say bye for now, and thank you very much for joining me, and I'm wishing you many blessings. And I'll just give you a quick close-up of this very last hexagon. Finished. Finished is good. Thank you, and bye for now.